So part two to this enclosure. As far as the enclosure goes, of course, this would definitely be 4-inch. You know, the positive side to the driver. Another thing that I really like that you can do on these on any enclosure, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be something like this, is you can make I call it a SPL layer, but it can also be like strictly used for cosmetic wise. But basically, it just allows the driver to sit flush. So this one's actually, you know, sitting forward, or they call it it's in front of the layer, you know, a surface mount. But you could add another layer over this depending on the thickness of your driver, and it just makes for like a real clean look, real flush look. But not only is so much as that, you know, just being clean or flush, it also allows the driver not to move at all this way. It is, you know, small as that might seem, it makes a huge difference. If you can literally fasten that frame into this piece of wood even as much as you can, it'll make it that much stronger. And you'll see a lot of the SPO guys do that, which is very smart, because it literally, you know, this being literally a piston driving in and out, you're just creating more of a cylinder wall for, you know, the frame, which is really, it makes it that, but it, you know, in reality it'll literally make it probably about 10%, maybe not 10%, but very close to 10% more efficient. But it not only will it make it more efficient SPL wise, it'll make it 15-20% better sound quality. So you know, that's a really good idea. Trying to think, yeah, 4-inch, and then you know, 3-inch everywhere, because it does have all the bracing on it. Of course, it's all aluminum. You see the brackets. You know, went with the triangle design. It's actually a perfect rectangle for, you know, for strength. Brazilian cherry. You know, did the inlay. What was I gonna say? Oh, the I never really talked about this on any of my videos because I was always focused on the power enclosure driver, stuff like that. But alternators, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you would have to have multiple alternators for something of this caliber. I mean, it's, you know, crazy. You know, majority of alternators, high performance wise, well, you can get them up to, some people, I think McMahon's got one for like, you know, 370s, but I think they're working on like a SPL. You can go up to like 400 depending on your vehicle. But as far as the alternators go, man, you know, idling is what, you know, a lot of times you're going to be sitting still, you know, idling the motor and the alternator getting power, unless you just have a tremendous amount of batteries, you know, supplying your power, and which you wouldn't really have to worry about the alternator too much. But so for example, if you have an alternator that's 400 amps, you're only going to get about 20 to 25% of that at idle. So, you know, that's really the whole reason for all the batteries on it. A lot of people mislook that and misunderstand that. Another thing that you have to have is a voltage gauge, not only on your car battery, you know, that starts the vehicle, but on your system. And I mean that. So for example, like on every one of these, you would have to have, I would have 3 individual voltage gauges plus my interior for my car, because this would be all one bank, or it is all one bank, but it would be, you know, I would have them individual, because that way you could tell if a cell gets weak and gets overheated. You know, it's just very, very smart. You could even go, you know, split it again and go, you know, quarter it, you know, to be even more. 3 is really all you need, but that way you could have a group of 4. I'm just trying to think, what else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, the alternators. You know, what I would do is, you know, just have the stock alternator upgraded on any of these type of, you know, real big enclosures. Just have the stock alternator upgraded, run that with my highs and mids, and then, you know, whatever I have supplying them, holding supply for them, and then the rest of the alternators for the straight up battery bank. And then of course the battery bank would feed right into the, you know, the large power, which I think is the smartest, unless you have ways to regulate your voltage. You know, you say you have a 18 or 16 volt system, and you really want to specify an amount of voltage that you want to supply your batteries and power. So it's it can get really expensive and really you know, you can get pretty technical. I mean, it's not too technical because you know, it's DC current, but you know, them showing that power distribution center that they sell, where you can run all your batteries in series, man, it's very smart. I don't know of too many companies that offer that, and I don't know too many drivers that could hold the power. So you know, he won it. In case you didn't know, I think the guy's name's Dante. He's out of Brazil. He used the Stetsom power and Digital Designs drivers. You know, I saw his vehicle. That thing's crazy. I never saw nothing like it. Yeah, 183 something I think he did. That's a lot. But anyways, on the that's pretty much it on the enclosure. Oh, another thing that people overlook is the mid bass. Not necessarily the mid range, but from 55 to around 80 hertz, you can get a lot of SP out of it. So I mean, that's why you see me go with these 7000s. You can take these 7000s and link them. You know what I'm saying? You could do like 12 6.5s from Digital Designs or whoever you choose, or you know, Warden, or you know, anyone, and you can get a lot of SPL just from those 6.5s. That's a lot of people overlook that. They just want to get as many drivers in an enclosure as they can, and you know, put a bunch of power on them with a bunch of batteries, and that's all fine and good, man. But you know, unless you have a consistent amount of power going to these digital amps, you know, they're not going to perform like you think they are, because that's why I say you got to have those voltage gauges, because they'll operate, you know, that's from what the numbers say, from 9 to 15, but in reality you're making your power at 14, or you know, 13.8 as they're saying, but that's consistent. You know what I mean? It all depends on what you're doing. And I know a lot of the viewers probably know a lot of this, but you know, there's a lot of people that don't, man. So oh, another thing, one more I want to say before I'm done the video, is that power wiring. A lot of people will offer a 0 gauge power wire, but trust me, the material and the thickness, when I said the circular mill of the material used, meaning copper, preferably silver even better, which is incredibly expensive in a 0 gauge thickness, is not only does your material matter, but your circular mill, meaning your actual diameter of your material used, and your strands matter. Material first, definitely material first. You know, copper is the most used, silver is by far the best, and I don't think there is anything better than silver as far as DC current. But yeah, strands matter. So especially with a digital system like this, you know, because the way the electrons move through the wire, man, they try to go on the outside of the wire constantly. They're not flowing right down through the middle like everybody thinks and just kind of cruising down all evenly. They don't do that. They flow down through, and then they disperse on the outside and just cruise down the freaking strand of wire. So that's why strands matter. I mean, it really does. And the material is because it'll get hot as shit. If you go with the mixtures that they have out, man, you know, it's not worth it. Trust me, you'll get voltage loss. It'll get hot. You end up burning your freaking, you know, 2.5, you know, however much $1,000 amp you got, and you'll be mad as shit. You'll be literally cussing, wondering what the hell went wrong, and it was just because of the wire was cheap, and it, you know, a lot of manufacturers, they'll sell freaking, you know, 0 gauge wire, but it's not 0 gauge wire. You know what I mean? It might be zero with the insulation on it, but you know, stuff like that pisses me off. So I'm not you know, yelling at nobody. I'm just making a straight up fact, straight up comment, the stuff that pisses me off. And it shouldn't be allowed. You know what I mean? Like, there should be somebody to regulate it, but I mean, depending on who they are, you know, whatever's whatever, man. I'm just making a statement. But thank you very much for watching. This is awesome enclosure. Check out these two great companies, Stetsom and Incriminator audio. Thank you very much. Bye.